It is time for The Game on The Script. Welcome to The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. His real name is Cardale Jones. His nickname is Beanie Wells. I'm Dave Holmes. Jake Butt, former Michigan tight end, is going to join us in a minute. We're going to ask him how he made it out of the state of Ohio, and he's actually going to say some nice things about the Buckeyes. We'll have Jake on in a minute. But first, guys, let's talk about the big news. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Who's in, who's out? Well, Jeremiah Smith went on Caleb Downs' podcast earlier this week and said, I should be good for Saturday. That's kind of what he said. I should be good for Saturday. First off, Jeremiah, come on The Script if you want to break news, not on Caleb. So I'm more confident on JJ than I am on Carnell because Carnell Tate has been day-to-day for weeks, which that's not a real thing in my world. You can't be day-to-day for weeks. So what do you guys think about Jeremiah potentially playing, Carnell potentially out? How are we feeling?
Look, I'm just so glad we'll have one of those guys. I mean, it would scare me if it was a situation to where both of those guys were declared out. Obviously, we're still hopeful for Carnell to be out there, but with JJ coming out saying that, he's going to be out there regardless of whatever, it's going to take a whole lot to keep him off this football field. That makes me feel good about this football game. When you have the horses in the stable that we have, and they're going to be available, you have to feel that much more comfortable and confident in us in this football game. Because when we looked at, Rutgers last week and UCLA, we started to look human. We weren't looking like a Super Saiyan type team. Go back to, what is that? Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan.
Oh, my goodness.
Super Saiyan, Dragon Ball Z reference type team. But nonetheless, we started to look human, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that feeling that I was getting. So to hear that these guys are potentially going to be available excites me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to have your best foot forward when you play in these type of games. And really for the rest of the season, it's no more cupcake games. It's no more Rutgers for the rest of the year if you go on this run that we all expect Ohio State to go on at this point. But it reminds me of the COVID year national championship when we play Alabama down in Miami, where Jaden Waddle was a top receiver and they also had Devontae Smith. They complemented each other clearly really well, but for both first-round draft picks, Waddle get hurt and dealt with some injuries all season, but he still dressed that national championship game. I think he had a few catches.
Yeah.
Nothing like we saw him do all year.
He was 20%. I mean,
but still, his presence was felt. His presence was felt. He demanded attention out there, and then Devontae Smith still went for over 200 yards on us. But it reminds me of that type of feeling. I'm thinking in this type of situation, if either one of these guys is 75 to 80% or better as far as coming off their injuries or dealing, it's going to be hard to keep them off the field. And I would even argue if they're a little less than that, with no risk of long-term injuries, they will be out there, and at best, even if it's for a decoy or a presence type of thing, it will still have a huge impact on the game.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith said back in the summer, I hate those guys. I'll never lose to them ever again. If he can walk, I think Jeremiah is going to be out there. Let's talk about this Ohio State defense. All right, they've held every opponent, all 11 opponents, under 17 points. First team to do that since Oklahoma in 1987. So historically good run for Matt Patricia's team. Now he gets a freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood. How do you expect the chess game to happen between a freshman and what Matt Patricia's doing out there?
I expect them to confuse him a whole lot. And we know what Michigan's going to try to do. Their best opportunity to be in this football game is to not put it in the hands of the freshman quarterback outside of running the football. So they're going to try to run the football with the quarterback, run it with the running back trio that they have back there. Nonetheless, but if you're Matt Patricia and you have the players at your disposal that he does, I mean, you just dial it up every which way, confusing these guys, confusing them when they try to do this RPO type situation, these quarterback runs and reads. It's going to be a nightmarish day for this young quarterback that Michigan has because he's not going to know which call to make. If I'm in a situation and I'm doing RPO, do I pull it? Do I grab it? If you got Arvell Reese right in your face, this guy can make both plays. He can make the tackle and tackle the pitch man. He can make the quarterback tackle, rather. So it's going to be a nightmare. I can't wait to watch this chess match. I know Michigan is going to have to simplify it for their young quarterback, which is going to be hard versus this defense.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be that crazy for Bryce Underwood. You look at the way Michigan's been playing the last couple of weeks, heavily leaning on the running game, tradition like they have. Jordan Marshall is playing really well. I know he has been splitting time, but I know with the injury to, I can't think of the other running back's name. Yep. Yeah, he's been kind of taking over more of the load, and they've been really simplifying things over the last couple of weeks for Bryce Underwood. He's been more efficient. You look at what he did last week versus Northwestern. Few interceptions, but outside of those things, which the Buckeye defense can make you pay for, he was pretty efficient, and they didn't put a lot on his plate. So, Beanie, you talking about the RPO game, getting them involved a little bit in the run game and really leaning on the run game. As far as Marshall and the group that they got, I don't think this is going to be a game that they're going to say, go out there, Bryce Underwood, win this game for us versus don't lose it.
Interesting. I want to talk to you guys both about your coaches' experiences in this game. So when Beanie, Tressel, we can make a case. Jim Tressel had a job because of what happened against Michigan with John Cooper. That's how Tressel got here. How was Tressel able to change the mindset after a decade of losing to get those teams to believe that this is the game they're always going to win?
You know, I think it started with the preparation. And that preparation started in the spring where we started reviewing the Michigan tape from the previous years. And then just pitting little simple things on a weekly basis that got your mind fixated on beating that team and dominating them. Going back to the 90s years, he would play some of those games to where Ohio State had these loaded teams, but they couldn't get over the hump and beat the University of Michigan. And, you know, I think during that time, there were so many guys on our roster that grew up in the state of Ohio. So a lot of us grew up in those 90 years. So we remember the times to where, you know, we couldn't get over that hump. And so it felt personal for us. And Jim Tressel had a great way of making it feel personal for you. So you wanted to go out there and, you know, have that redemption for your fellow brothers that came before you.
I never thought about that. You and I'm a few years older than you are, but you and I grew up where Thanksgiving weekend ruined our childhood.
Oh, no doubt.
When we were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, that was heartbreak. I never even considered that outside of Tressel, just the age of your players kind of grew up with that chip on their shoulder by watching.
Yeah, no doubt. Dave, when it came to, you know, just sports in general, the Cleveland Indians ruined our childhood.
Yeah,
I'm sure yours might.
95 and 97.
Yep. And then Ohio State, Michigan, losing the games that we did. There were so many guys that, you know, I can sit there and just rattle off names that we all talked about watching those games and how bad it felt to go outside with your friends, because we all knew, being from Ohio, you're still going to have that demographic of people that want to throw it in your face that they're Michigan fans. And they're really not even Michigan fans. They just want to get under your skin. So I had that growing up with several of my friends. So my childhood was rough.
No. And then Cardale, so you play for Urban Meyer. Now, Urban wears this like a badge of honor. He will sometimes autograph things 7-0. Like, I mean, 7-0. In fact, Urban's been asked about this, and he is more proud of 7-0 than even that national championship, because that is a badge of honor no other Buckeye coach can ever wear. So how did Urban approach this game that he was able to go 7-0?
Oh, completely different. I mean, every year, all year round, we had something that was an emphasis on the game. I came in at a very unique time. The team just went 6-7. They lost to the team up north there, and Urban came in at that time as well. So for me, it was like, man, in our teams, it was like, man, this is how he treats you when y'all lose this game. I don't want to get treated like this anymore. You know, so it was always huge for us to win that game. Even the year we was 12-0, we knew we wasn't fighting for nothing but that 12-0 season. And, you know, trying to always block them from something as well. The only thing I do wish, I wish the Michigan teams were a little better when we were playing. I mean, it was always competitive, don't get me wrong, but I wish they were always trying to play spoiler to us versus like having something to lose just as much as us. And that haven't happened for the last couple of years. Well, until the last couple of years, the 1-2 game, the overtime game was like one of the first years in a long time where they both were fighting for the same thing. This week is another one of those weeks.
Yeah.
You know, they're both fighting to potentially go to the Big Ten championship game. If USC loses and Michigan wins, they're in. Ohio State clearly has to win in their end. So that adds another element to the rivalry into this game where you really want to beat them, not just for the rivalry, but because it's going to prolong your season.
Yeah, I went up to Ann Arbor on Monday for Sharon Moore's news conference, and he talked about that where he said, last year, all we had was to play spoiler. We think we're playing to get in the playoff right now. I mean, so they have something at stake, which is one of the good things about that 12-team playoff. It brings a little juice here. All right, do you guys have a story or a memory of one of the games that you guys were in that stands out to you when you played Michigan?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I go back to, I can go 06, the game, but I won't go there because that game was loaded with like celebrities on the sideline, A-Rod, they had the countdown clicker and all of that. But I go back to 2007, going to Michigan, my first time going there to play in that game. And I remember getting there. We get there a little bit early. You know, you take a couple of buses over. First bus goes over, second bus goes over. And I was on the first bus, got there, the lights didn't work, right? So this is like the mind games that they're playing up there. The lights wasn't working in the locker room, so we had to call the staff from the University of Michigan Stadium. Then the toilets are overflooding. So you talk about, urine and feces in a toilet and that smell just permeating. So they're not flushing. And then you go back, we don't have the proper towels where guys is trying to get ready. So it was just so many different things that
you got the big house or the red roof in. My
exactly.
God.
The towels are scratchy. The towels were scratchy there. So everything to make you uncomfortable, I felt like they tried to do in that football game. So going out, when it was time to go out on the football field, I remember guys talking, oh, we got to whoop their ass. They're doing this to us coming here. We don't treat people like this. We treat them with respect when you come there.
Yeah.
And you guys are disrespecting the rivalry out the gate by the way that they're treating us in the stadium. No lights, no towels. The toilets aren't flushing. It was a crazy moment, and we went out there and took it out on them.
Apologies, by the way. We'll never get a Red Roof Inn sponsorship now. They're not sponsoring the show. Cardale, what about you? You got something that stands out?
It's easy to say the game. I mean, I got 4 pair of gold pants. I only wear these pair right here because it's the only game I actually played in from 2014.
Yep.
But I think the year 41-42 when they went for the 2-point conversion and Tyvis got the interception. Tyvis, clearly we was roommates in college.
Yeah.
But it was also a little scrap, on the kickoff with Dontre Wilson and the team. And I remember going out there and the guy, listen, my teammates knew me. My teammates, that was my moment. I'm like, let's go.
You're like, I might not play, but I will fight.
I'm going to get me some. I'm telling you, it's been times, over the years, my team, Cardale, after the game, make sure you buckle up. Oh, yeah, let's get it. So I remember going out there, I got the headset on, and, I was probably one of the first guys out there on the field when he scrapped it. And I remember just grabbing the back of Dontre's jersey and trying to pull him back, but I'm also swinging. I got me swinging there. And so I think I forgot who saw me on the sideline. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like I snuck me one in. But that, and then I think the biggest moment of that whole Michigan rivalry that I've been a part of, the proudest moment was Tyvis getting that interception to seal the game because it was my roommate. I saw all the hard work, dedication he put in to get to that point that we were redshirt freshmen at the time. And to see him in the moment at the biggest stage of our, young careers at the time. And I mean, that game, I think we went to the Big Ten championship game the next week or something like that. That game, and we had to win pretty much to get in. It was huge to be a part of that and seeing, him have that success.
This game, it's produced so many iconic pictures. Obviously, you go back to the Bourne picture. You go back to
Marcus Hall.
Double bird. That's what I was about to get at. I think that's the most iconic picture for me is the Marcus Hall double birds, and they're turning into an OHIO. He's up there. That's going to be one of the most iconic things.
For sure. Especially knowing that we got that win too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And now we bring in a guest here on The Script, former Michigan tight end Jake Butt. You can also hear him on the Blueprint podcast with Michigan quarterback Devin Gardner. All right, Jake, first things first. Let's say positive things about Ohio State. I want to tee you up because you're a fan of Julian Sayin, a Michigan man saying nice things about the QB. What do you like about the Buckeye slinger?
Well, first off, I don't really have an issue saying positive things about Ohio State. I know recent years there's been some big time beef for obvious reasons, but I grew up in a day my dad would always tell me stories like, hey, if your car breaks down, and I was a Buckeye fan growing up. He said, if your car breaks down in Michigan, call Wolverine, they'll fix it for you. Pat Elfine's one of my best friends. His mom was my lunch lady back in Pickerington. So I got a ton of love and respect for Ohio State. And I think the rivalry's best when, there's an element of respect there. But to answer your question, I've been very high on Julian Sayin. I think he was the perfect guy to operate this team and this offense. He's a true facilitator. He's like a point guard, and that's what Ohio State needs with those weapons on the outside. But I think more than anything is his mind. He's almost like a computer back there. It's like having a coach down on the field. Reminds me of like a Brock Purdy in that sense. Does not take negative plays. And that's going to matter this weekend because I think the formula for Michigan to win, they have to hit Julian Sayin. They have to sack Julian Sayin. Very similar to the 2021 game when Michigan had Hutchinson Ojabo. They were able to hit C.J. Stroud, but Sayin just has great awareness of where his checkdowns are, good pocket presence, footwork, really quick release. So that's really what he does better than anything. And to me, recent weeks, it might have changed, but he was my Heisman favorite. I never understood it, discrediting him because he's throwing to two great receivers. Like, what does that mean? he's still operating at a really high
So,
level.
Beanie, I've known you for 10 years. You haven't said one nice thing about Michigan. Why can't you be more mature like this guy right here?
I absolutely said something great about Michigan. They have some amazing lakes. I mean, you ever go to Torch Lake in Michigan? Most beautiful place that you can possibly go to, and not the Caribbean.
Did you go there for the 4th of July?
I've never been for the 4th of July.
That's where you really got to go. That's the best 4th of July I've ever had up there.
Well, I'm going to definitely take that into consideration, and maybe this 4th of July I'll be there. But, Jake, you got to take us back a little bit. You got to give us a story on how you got out of Columbus and what that was like for you, obviously growing up in Pickerton. What was that transition like from you when you left Columbus going to the state up north?
Well, I was born into it. I was born at the Mount Carmel Hospital there in Columbus. And, you're wrapped in the scarlet and gray. You're wrapped in the Buckeye gear. And the parents are looking down. They're like, maybe my son or daughter will be an Ohio State Buckeye one day. I mean, I was literally born into it. Like one of my first pictures of when I was a baby, it's me sitting down and there's like a $20 bill, Buckeyes, and then something else. And they have the baby choose. And I chose the Buckeye.
It was before NIL. That was before NIL.
NIL, exactly. And then, my basement was decked out in those old DVD infomercials, like the 2001 national championship commemorative gear and all that. So I that's where, as soon as I was being recruited, it was a done deal in my mind that I was going to go to Ohio State. And Greg Gillum was the director of player personnel and recruiting. He came and spoke to our class in 5th grade about what it means to be an Ohio State Buckeye. I wrote him a letter. This was in May of 2007. And I said, Mr. Gillum, thank you for coming to speak to us. I know what I want to do one day. I want to play football. I want to be an Ohio State Buckeye. He kept that letter, okay, and gave it to me the day after I got drafted. It was a whole different story for another.
Wow.
Really cool.
Yeah, that sounds just like Coach Gillum.
A decade later.
I mean, that sounds just like Coach Gillum through the recruiting process. Yep. And when, being on a staff with Coach Trussell and someone who's known to be so personable, Coach Trussell poured that into all of his support staff and his coaches. So I'm not surprised at all. That's actually one of the best Greg Gillum stories I ever heard.
Yeah.
But when you talk about Buckeye Nation, you talk about the rivalry, and you talk about other crazy fan bases. And when someone think of Buckeye Nation fans, you're thinking of the Big Nut, or one of our crazy fans is always dressing up. Now, when you think about Michigan fans, one name continue to come up. What do you think about Dave Portnoy and all of his Michigan antics? Is he a true example of what a Michigan fan is, or is he a little bit over the top?
You have to include him. Of course, he's a Michigan fan. He loves Michigan, but Ohio, you guys have those fans too. You guys have.
I don't think we have one fan as obnoxious as Portnoy. It's like
you do. They just don't have the platform like Portnoy. That's
right. Probably so.
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually a really good point. Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so.
I mean, Dave,
but
he loves Michigan. He leans into the hatred. He's not like me. I don't think he'll say anything nice about Ohio State. He's and now, I mean, it's crazy, seeing him up there every single week. He's given bulletin board material for Ryan Day and Ohio State every single week, though. So, I mean, that's just added motivation for your locker room.
It's funny, though. I've talked to Urban Meyer about this, Jake, and asked him, who are your biggest regrets? And he brings you up as a guy like, how did we not get him here? Mm-hmm. So what put Michigan over the top in your mind?
Well, no. So this is the thing is Ohio State never offered me that. This is the whole thing, is I was being recruited by everybody. And my freshman year, it was Tressel. My sophomore year is when Fickle came in. And then my junior year is when Urban came in. So like all that period of transition is when, like, those are my prime recruiting years. And Ohio State offered Marcus Ball. So we were roommates out at Nike the opening, and he was from California. Urban brought him in. So I ended up going to Michigan. And the funny thing is I ended up winning the Mackey my senior year. So we fly down to Atlanta for the college football award show. The award show's on Thursday night. I get the Mackey award. Friday morning, our director of player personnel says, hey, be in the lobby at 7 a.m. I got there at like 6:30. It was early enough where there was only 2 people in the lobby, the clerk behind the desk and Urban Meyer. Okay, so I'm sitting there. Mind you, I'm 0-4. You guys can write your jokes. I never beat Ohio State, okay? And my senior year was the JT was short, double overtime game, so it was extra painful that we lost that. On top of the fact, Urban didn't want me. So I say, hey, coach, how's it going? I go post up against the wall, and I'm starting to sweat. I'm pissed off. I'm like, I don't like this guy. Urban walks over and puts his face right in my chest, and he's like, why didn't you come to Ohio State? And I'm like, you didn't offer me. He's like, what was it? Were you, did you get in trouble? I'm like, never. He's like, were you a bad student? I'm like, I got into Michigan. He's like, hey man, you're a hell of a player. You used to give me nightmares. I wish you the best. So like kind of like a full circle moment, I guess.
That is a typical Urban story,
Such
though.
a good Urban story.
But in terms of Urban just forgetting so many players, so not that he forgets players, forgetting, he didn't offer a certain player.
Yeah.
Obviously, he knows the great ones and the players that he's coached against and, played against, but that is hilarious right there.
I asked him once, like, who's your biggest whiff? And he was almost confused. He's like, that Jake Butt, I don't know how we let him get out of the state.
Yeah.
Because they let him. I want to ask you this, Jake. So you grow up a Buckeye fan. Are you able to flip a mental switch and hate them the way you're supposed to hate them? How do you love something for so long and then flip that mental switch when you go up there?
Well, it's weird because again, like I still have just a ton of respect for the program. Like it's a outstanding football program. Obviously, one of the best in college football. I mean, coming off a national title, like I got a ton of respect. It was easy for me to have that hatred be born because my own hometown team didn't want me. That was added motivation. I would just tell our strength coach, anytime I look tired, anytime I look like I wanted to take a break, just remind me that my hometown team didn't want me. And it was a major motivating factor all throughout my career. And, I went on to have a good individual career, but again, like I never beat Ohio State. And when you think about like legacies are born by your record. The first thing people say is, what was your record against Ohio State? What was your record against Michigan? Like that's how we measure the all-time greats with these two schools.
Yeah. I mean, to me, you and Jack Sawyer are so similar because you guys, both Pickerington guys, both beloved by your schools. I mean, you guys are people that everyone speaks so highly of. Both went 0-4 against your rival. How much does it eat at you on a day-to-day? Is it something that like literally pops in your mind every day?
Well, I know Jack Sawyer too. Like it was cool for me. I was able to hug his mom and dad doing the postseason shows. Like I remember talking to Jack when he was in like 5th, 6th grade. So it was cool to see him have his career that he did. And I mean, gosh, man, think about that. He had that interception down in the red zone.
Yeah.
Like that's supposed to be like the moment of your career.
That should have been his play.
Right. But it's Ohio State lost, and that's all that matters. I mean, it doesn't eat at me anymore. It stung in the moment and we were close, but close doesn't matter. That I wish I had at least one, but what can I do now? Now I just try to do my job to the best of my ability.
Jake, I got to ask, before we dive into the game, because we're going to get there, I got to ask, is there something that you guys do at the University of Michigan throughout the season and kind of prepare for this game? Because I know there's a clock, a countdown clock in the Woody Hayes athletic facility, for this game. So Ohio State's essentially worried about this game and preparing for it all year. Is there something like that at the University of Michigan where you guys are, preparing a little bit each week for this game?
Yeah, initially this is what's crazy. When Jim Harbaugh first got there wasn't. There was an emphasis. You always, though, it's one of those things. It's like, this doesn't need to be emphasized additionally. It's to Ohio State, but we didn't have anything like that. And then when Michigan was able to go on this run, when they started winning the past 4, Jim Harbaugh did start to make some changes, and spring ball, fall camp, and at least one day a week throughout the season, the inside run drill, you guys know it, 9-on-7 for the viewers. I mean, it's literally everyone is lining up in a sprinter stance. There's no passes. It's just a physical, basically team Oklahoma drill. And they just named that the Beat Ohio drill. So it's like that subtle conditioning that you're doing throughout the season. The Beat Ohio drill, basically, and basically saying, hey, an inside run, this is like the mindset and the mentality that it takes for us to beat Ohio. So they named the inside run, the most physical period of practice, Beat Ohio.
That's so fitting because when you look at the last couple of years, how Ohio State has lost the game, it's been because of that physicality in the trenches, Michigan running the football down our throat, being so physical. So, that's fitting.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about two big rivals in any sport, usually leading up all year, you have those type of things. I know, like Beanie has said, Ohio State. And from the outside looking in, people may think, oh, my God, they're so worried about this team all year round. But, Jake, like you just said, it's more so to install the culture and the hate that you have for this program and vice versa to get your guys ready and thinking about it all year round in the back of your mind, right? We had the Michigan period in the offseason where we ended every workout with a number of sit-ups, push-ups, whatever it was, to the days till we played that game. And it was always kind of the hardest part of the day because it helped you continue to install that hatred that you have for your opponent. And when you line up on the other side of the field, it's like, okay, I can finally take advantage of everything I've done to this point to really try to beat this team.
You know, something else I love is the subtle way you guys as former players describe things. I picked up on something. My ears went up like a dog when Jake said, he mentioned his last game was 2016. The quote, the JT was short game. I mean, just even describing it as that's like the Michigan lens of that game. That's what they think. We think of Curtis Samuel celebrating and it's like in Michigan, it's like that's the game where if they spot that ball 4 inches the other direction, Michigan ends up winning that game. So Jake, you guys had that run there in 2010 to 2020 where they couldn't buy a win. Now it's been 2,190 days or something come this Saturday. Is momentum a real thing in a rivalry, even though the players and the coaches change so often? Because it feels like this rivalry is built on momentum with changing faces.
Oh, it absolutely is. And like belief is like the fundamental driving factor of successful individuals and successful teams. Like belief, it's foundational. And last year is a perfect example of this. Is Coach Day and Ohio State. The history leading up to it led to the game plan being twisted. Rather than say, hey, we're Ohio State, we're the best team in college football, this is what we do to go win. You have Coach Day saying, well, hey, the team that runs for more yards wins, or it's something other than what's the best game plan to allow us to go win in that given moment. And that's why Michigan was able to win last year. No way should Michigan have won. It's belief. And then the other thing, I think about it like, okay, in 2016, another example, we were really dominating that game. Like the Buckeye offense could not get a first down on our defense. Our defense was loaded. We had 12 players make all conference, all 11 starters, and then one of our rotation players.
That's crazy.
Loaded. Ohio State could not move the ball. We were dominating that game, and yet it was close, a little too close for comfort. We get the ball, we're driving down, we're on the 1 yard line, getting ready to run fullback dive and score. Our fullback had like 15 touchdowns that year. We've done it 1,000 times. If we score there, it's game over. In our minds, it's game over. Our quarterback fumbles the snap. Ohio State recovers. And even though in that moment we were winning the game and dominating the game, because of the prior year's history, you feel you can sense the energetic change on the sideline. Like, yes. Oh, here we go again. Ohio State always finds a way to win these games. So rather than just look at the moment black and white, you are carrying the weight of recent history, and that does seep into the psyche of the coaching staff, the players, and the crowd, and it absolutely has a factor.
Yeah, 100%. When you talk about momentum in those games, I mean, it was no point of my career at Ohio State where I thought we was going to lose to Michigan. It was times we were down by 2 scores. It was times we had an opportunity for a game, win a drive, like, let's do this. And now you look at the shift in momentum, like Jake said, when you look at some of the comments that was made by the coaching staff leading up to last year's game, it was almost like we just on a defensive as far as the offensive mode and trying to go out here and attack these guys.
Yeah.
And you can tell the way the Michigan players came into the shoe last year. You can just tell the way the comments they was making leading up to the game. And you can tell by the way they acted after the game. They're like, no, we about to beat them. It was never, and when I was in school, that was vice versa. It was like, there's nothing y'all can do that's going to let us either think y'all was going to beat us or y'all was ultimately going to beat us. We're going to crush you guys. And I think that was the biggest thing that I took away from the game last year. I do think that was the most impressive win by Michigan in this whole rivalry. And I think it was the most embarrassing loss by Ohio State in this whole rivalry, because you look at both rosters, you look at what things that Ohio State have done up until that point, and then like Jake said, to go completely off script, no pun intended, was kind of shocking never said at least, but saying things like, oh, the team who run the ball better is going to win this game. Well, usually the team who run the ball in any game better is going to win those type of games.
And it means you're leading the game normally, game script.
Yeah, exactly. So if you run the ball better, you control the time of possession, usually controlling, the field position. So it's more than just that. So I would like to see Ohio State in this instance just to continue to do what they've been doing to get them to this point and have the confidence enough that knowing that it's more than enough to beat not just Michigan, but any team.
Yeah, do you think, Jake, that Ryan Day has tried to out-Michigan the last couple of years? That's a theory down here, that they've almost deviated from what they do best to try to win some sort of tough guy contest.
Not the last couple of years. I wouldn't say that. But last year, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just that's Ohio State lost that game as much as Michigan won that game. And I'm very curious this weekend to see what Coach Day does, because I think winning that national title, that infamous player-led meeting, I do think that like vindicated Coach Day mentally a little bit. Like, hey, like I'm a national champion head coach. So I really don't see a world where Ohio State loses the game this year. Michigan's going to have to go out there and beat Ohio State to win the game. And that game plan, it wasn't just running the ball. It was running the ball in between the tackles at Michigan's two first-round defensive tackles. When Will Johnson, their first round, he was a second round, but he's a first-round talent, first-round corner, wasn't playing. That's how you can just, it's the best example of getting way too in your head and then losing the game.
Jake, diving in on this game, give me some of your thoughts on Michigan's team, and if they're going to have a chance to beat Ohio State, where's it going to come from? Who's going to be that player that steps up? What position group can we expect to go out and be dominant if they're going to have a chance to win?
The one thing I'm most certain of is it's going to be hard for Michigan. It's going to be hard for any opponent that plays Ohio State to score points. Like Michigan, it is going to be a battle to get to 20 or 21 points. That's the nature of playing that Buckeye defense. They are lights out. One of the best I've seen, certainly I've scouted since getting into media. So Michigan's defense then is going to have to do the impossible and slow down Ohio State's offense. And how they really do that, let's assume that Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate play. I think both those guys are going to play. It is a race for Derek Moore and Jayshon Barham. Those are two Michigan's defensive ends. They're both probably day 2 picks. They're really, really good players. It is a race for those guys to get to Julian Sand before he can get the ball out to those weapons. And it's going to be a cold, I think it's like 30, low 30s forecast.
Yeah, chance of snow around freezing.
And Sand is I don't want to challenge his toughness, but like, hey, he's a tough player, but he's a California kid. I'm sure he likes to throw the ball in warm weather. It's going to be freezing up there, and that is hard turf in Ann Arbor. For those guys, you want to hit Sand early and often and plant that seed of doubt in his own psyche. We don't know how he's going to respond if he's being hit often. That's the most important thing in this game is Michigan's pressure and defensive line has to get to Julian Sand and make him uncomfortable. And then the flip side is how does Michigan's offensive line and then their freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood, the communication playing this Matt Patricia defense, because it's a 3 down front, 4 down front, 5 down front, bear front, penny front. Caleb Downs plays nose and then outside linebacker and then safety and then nickel. Arvell Reese moves all over the place. To the viewers, like for Michigan, that completely changes your communication. If you call one run play, you're going to have, it could look 6 different ways based on the front that Patricia decides to present. And then the truth is for Bryce Underwood, it's the exact same thing. We all saw what happened to Arch Manning in Sark week 1. I mean, they were lost trying to figure out what Ohio State was doing from a coverage standpoint. To me, it's a mental battle for Michigan's offensive line and for their freshman quarterback to try to figure out what Ohio State's doing defensively and then to avoid the big mistake. But you also don't want to go in here being negative and say, this is what I don't want to do. I don't want to do this. You still have to have that attacking mindset like Cardale was talking about. But it's a delicate balance because you really cannot give Ohio State anything easy. Turnovers, Michigan could not overcome losing the turnover battle by 1 or 2 turnovers. So it's going to be a chess match.
Jay, great stuff, man. We appreciate the time as always. A nice, classy Michigan. I told you they're out there, guys. Classy Michigan Wolverines. Jake, appreciate it. Make sure you guys listen to Jake Butt on The Blueprint with former Michigan quarterback Devin Gardner. Jake,
get a score from it. We got to get a score from you.
Score? Get a score.
Yeah, I got. What do you guys think I'm going to pick here? I got Michigan winning 21-17. Here's the other key: special teams. That's the other thing. Michigan does not win that game last year without special teams. Their kicker was 2 for 2. Yours was 1 for 3. Michigan's special teams is shaky this year, though. Their All-American kicker is shaky. They're starting a true freshman. They moved their receiver Andrew Marsh. He's going to be their punt returner. There was a guy, Samaj Morgan, that's fumbling the ball. Andrew Marsh is going to be their punt returner. I'm thinking for Michigan fans, you need a Desmond Howard type moment where Andrew Marsh takes the punt all the way back to the house, a huge momentum swinging moment. I think it's going to require something like that for Michigan to win.
Yeah, Jake, thanks again, man. We'll make sure we listen to you on the Blueprint. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
College football not feeling as juicy as it once did. Well, let me put you onto something that'll shake up your Saturday and every other day of the week. Because now that Wendy's has crispy chicken tendies and a powerhouse lineup of new sauces, it's time you transfer to the hottest team in the league.
That's right. Team Tendies. Wendy's Tendies, they're making their undeniable rookie season one for the books. Enjoy first-string flavor from some five-star recruits. Rep your new favorite team everywhere you go, but make sure you cheer with your mouth closed.
Take it to the end zone of savory sauces like honey barbecue, creamy ranch, and that new Wendy's signature sauce to experience a total taste bud blitz of flavor. It's time to join the team that won't upset you with an upset.
Taste the phenom that's gracing the gridiron with its juicy, crispy, and tendery tendencies. Don't fumble the bag. Commit to Team Tendies and call the most delicious plays in the playbook. All right, huddle up. Tendies on three. Tendies on three. 1, 2, 3, Tendies. Let's do this. Wendy's Chicken Tendies now at participating U.S. Wendy's. Support for The Script comes from Google. We hear commentators talk all the time about the spread offense, but what if you don't know exactly what that means or what makes it different from other offensive schemes? Well, you can keep wondering or ask your friends and hope they know what they're talking about, or you can use AI mode on Google search.
You can just type, help me understand what a spread option is and why a football team would choose to run it. Yep. You can ask all those questions in one search, and you'll get an organized and helpful AI-powered response with everything you need to know.
But it doesn't end there. Let's say you want to just keep going deeper. With AI mode, you don't have to start a whole new search. You can ask direct follow-ups like break down how it compares to the pro-style offense based overall philosophy, types of formation, use, and pace.
AI mode is great at these type of comparisons, giving you a side-by-side analysis and helping you get the full story from one question to the next. So if you don't want to just watch the game, but really understand it, you can just ask Google. Welcome back to The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Click subscribe if you're watching on YouTube right now, or hit us up on Apple, Spotify, or social media at The Script OSU. All right, guys, Heisman Trophy season is here. We know our guy Julian Sain still in the hunt, but Fernando Mendoza now the odds-on favorite quarterback from Indiana. So let's do this for our Buckeye basement solution. We always try to come up with a solution. We're going to solve the Heisman Trophy right now and hand it out with one catch. I'm going to read you the stats of these quarterbacks, or maybe other positions, and you're going to pick who's going to win the Heisman without any of this bias.
All right.
All right? Your first contender for the Heisman Trophy is a quarterback who has 2,924 passing yards. Impressive. 26 touchdowns and only 6 picks, but he's a dual threat. He's run for 661 rushing yards.
I like that.
Good player. He's going against a guy who has 2,752 passing yards, a couple hundred less, 25-8 touchdown to pick ratio, not as good, and only 395 rushing yards. Who you like better?
I like the first one better right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take the first one.
Okay, guy one. You guys just kicked Marcel Reed's quarterback from A&M is out. Marcel Reed is off the podium.
Okay.
So I'm not going to tell you who lives, but he's moving on.
All right.
All right. Let's pick between these two guys. One guy has 3,469 passing yards. He's slinging it.
Wow.
26-4 TD to INT ratio. Only 57 rushing yards. Does have 5 road wins. All right. Your second guy, 2,641 passing yards, 800 less.
First quarterback,
but he's 30-5 on the touchdown to interception. 216 rushing yards.
Oh, read the passing yards again.
2,641. He has 800 less passing yards than the first guy.
Hey, man, I like that.
But he's 30-5 on the ratio instead of 26-4.
I like that 3,400-yard passer.
Okay.
Oh, this one is tough. How many rushing yards the second guy got?
216 compared to 57. First guy's he's just slinging. That's all he's doing.
I got the second guy. I'm sorry.
You're going first guy?
I'm going first guy.
Okay. So you like Drew Mestamaker from North Texas, and you like Fernando Mendoza, your odds-on favorite.
Okay.
All right.
He got 200 rushing yards?
216 rushing yards.
Good for him.
Okay, so right now, let's take the guys who've advanced so far, all right? This next guy has 2,832 passing yards, 27 TDs, only 4 picks, never runs it, 20 rushing yards. Got 4 road wins. Do you like him better than either guy you've taken so far?
I still like Maker. I think that's amazing. I know I watched him have like a 600-yard game this year too.
He can throw it.
Yeah, but knowing that that's Maker,
right,
I think
exactly.
about the competition.
Yeah.
Right.
See, now the bias is weighing in.
I like my guy versus Maker, so Mendoza.
Okay.
And I liken him over the last
guy. Okay,
right
so
now.
the last guy we just named is Julian Sayin.
Okay.
So right now, you like Mendoza. Now, the first guy you guys both like was Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt.
Oh.
The first guy who knocked Marcel Reed out.
Marcel Reed didn't have that many rushing. Oh, wow. I thought he had more rushing yards.
So you guys right now, just based on blind resume, are leaning toward Diego Pavia or Fernando Mendoza. With a little Drew Mestemaker, but we can't be giving it out to North Texas.
Yeah.
We can't be giving it out to North Texas.
Yeah, that's tough.
Now, I'll say this about Julian Sayin. I don't think Ryan Day has done him any Heisman favors the way they've played the last couple of weeks. They've been in handoff mode majorly. These numbers have been deflated hardcore the last 2 games.
Yeah, no Heisman. Like I said it before, no Heisman moment, and then no Heisman story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 guys, outside of the blindness with, knowing what they have done and meant to their programs.
Mm-hmm.
Diego Pavia, he has changed college football, and because of him, now it's a rule that's changed because now the
junior college rule.
Junior college rule.
No longer counts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the things that he have done in his career and how he has turned Vandy around. I mean, Vandy been on 2 college game days this year.
Yes.
And then Mendoza has completely transformed this Indiana program as well. So 2 guys that's definitely going to be in New York, and just off the blind resume right there, that's going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty impressive if those 2 was the top 2 guys, and who do you pick from there? Because the popularity conversations with the school brands isn't there, so that bias is out, and you're trying to see which guy is really the best player.
Yeah. I think we're seeing that Julian does need to light up Michigan in a Big Ten title game based on what we've seen right here.
Yeah, no question about it. He needs that big moment, and beating Michigan and winning the Big Ten championship will absolutely, put him in that discussion. But I gotta love Diego. I gotta go back to that conversation here. I mean, just think about, I wonder how much money they're paying him in NIL down at Vanderbilt. And whatever it is, it's not enough because he single-handedly put Vanderbilt on the map. They're going to be able now to go out and recruit because of what he was able to do and how he was able to change the fortunes of that program down there. So that's an interesting situation. The same similar with Fernando Mendoza. He was able to, obviously Kirk said that he had a lot to do with it, but when you got a guy come in like Fernando Mendoza that transfers and comes and lights it up, and now he's going to be potentially winning the Heisman Trophy, most certainly will be winning some of these national college football awards. I mean, they ain't paying him enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is our Buckeye basement solution here for the Heisman Trophy. If your damp or wet basement needs a quality solution by a local company, it is time to call Buckeye Basement Solutions. They are the pros at waterproofing, foundation repair, and creating dry, healthy spaces you can actually use. No leaks, no worries, just peace of mind under your feet. And they do have a special message to pass along from their company founder, Brian Mastroianni. His team of Buckeye Basement Solutions wants you to have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving holiday. Get on BuckeyeBasementSolutions.com. Let's talk more about the game this week. All right, I'm checking the weather. It's not ideal. We're talking low 30s, a chance of snow depending on if it moves up early in the day, late in the day. Guys, this is Michigan Wolverine weather. In the 90s, I would have said this is Ohio State weather.
Man, I love that type of weather. I ain't from 90s, but still, let's see how tough you is.
But I would say if one team wants to air it out and the other team wants to tuck it in the belly of a running back every play, this is Michigan Wolverine weather, and it has been the last couple of years. Your guys' thoughts on how that could impact the game?
I think it can a little bit, but I just want, obviously, Ohio State and Ryan Day and Julian Sayin to know, just go out there and play your game. Be who you are. You don't have to conform to the circumstances around. Yeah, it's going to be cold, but if you're a team that likes to chuck it around, I don't think it's going to impact, you chucking it around. It's not going to be like super windy or super rainy or anything like that. It's still going to be weather conducive to you being who you are. And I think that's the biggest thing that they need to understand. And remember, I know we can talk about all these different things of how you win this game, Russian battles and all of that, but be who you are. If you're a team that wants to go air it out, and light it up and light up the scoreboard and spread the ball out around, Continue to do that. That's what got you here to this point.
Yep, 100% what Beanie just said. I don't think how cold it is going to affect you throwing the ball around the field versus windy and wet.
Mm-hmm.
Just continue to do what got you there. Hopefully all guys are healthy, the guys we mentioned earlier in the show. But I think they more than capable enough to play their game and beat this team.
Yeah, when I was up there at Sharon Moore's news conference this week, I asked him about what it's like now that he's been a few of these. And he just said, like, I can't describe it. When you walk out in the field for the first time, you look and he said, there's an aura. He said, it's different. It's different. You guys have been there. How do you describe it for people who've never been on the field for one of these games?
It's completely different from any game that you'll play, whether it's there or whether it's home. The environment on the sideline, the environment, the minute you wake up knowing what you're about to go experience is completely different. I go back to 2006. I remember, being in Antonio Pittman and Troy Smith's room, and we're standing at the Blackwell, and all Troy kept saying is, if you make a play in this game, you got a chance to etch yourself in school's history forever. Just remember that. If you make a play in this game, you'll be a legend forever. So waking up, knowing, going through school session, that was a possibility for me because I was going to get a chance to play and I could be in history books forever and be a legend forever. I mean, that's something alone that gets the juices flowing early in the morning, but already just knowing that the game is what it is. I mean, you're waking up just feeling completely different. Your mental is on a completely different level.
And what happened, by the way?
I was able to go out and make a play.
He made a play.
We talk about these games, big time games and rivalry games. This is where legends are born and made. And heck, I mean, I was able to kind of start my legacy off of, the backs and the shoulders of, or their backs, the men on their backs of the Wolverines.
That was the day that Chris Wells died and Beanie Wells was born, baby.
That's a great way to put it. Freaking quoted. Get a shirt right there, man. 2006. I got to get the date of that game.
The day Beanie was born.
Dave, I got to get that put on the t-shirt.
R.I.P. Chris Wells. Beanie was born. Cardale, what's it like being out there?
I mean, he hits the nail on the head every time, man. And I love to follow up behind Beanie when it comes to certain these topics, because you look at the history of this game and you see the transformation of certain players. And over recent years, I can just think of one guy, Chris Olave. Right.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Chris Olave. And then I gave a story earlier, Tyvis Powell, he was born in that game. And then so many other more players was really born in that game and really, honestly, a guy that we talked about earlier, Zach Bourne, and we talked about memorable pitchers and stuff, because Zach was a traditional fullback that went back and forth. Then, so he was just a kind of a Buckeye guy until he made that big play versus Michigan, Devin Gardner, and then, that pitcher is kind of cemented in Buckeye history. So, it is different. I think what makes it different is the history behind the game of everything outside of the game. You go back to the war basically for Toledo between Michigan and Ohio, and you add all that culture into that game. It means more. Definitely, like Beanie mentioned earlier, growing up as a kid, and having certain people, not even really Michigan fans, but poking at you because Ohio State lost. So it runs deep.
It's Olave's such a good shout, because I remember that year, his freshman year. He had the touchdown. He blocked a kick on special teams. And that was the day, people were scrambling for the pronunciation guy. Who's this?
Exactly.
Chris
Who's
Olive?
this number 17? What is this dude doing
Chris
around
Olive.
here?
Yeah, never heard of him. And it's that's the day his name was born. I mean, it can be that.
But they got players on their side as well.
Yeah.
The same thing. The same thing.
Yeah. We all know how to pronounce Tim Biakabatuka because of that.
Yeah. It's who is this guy? He went in the scouting report. He just came out of nowhere and only got 3 sacks or rushed for 200 yards.
Yeah. I know, for sure. It's going to be a fun one. We have more to talk about, though, here on the script, including the game, but some other big matchups. We're going to analyze who's in the playoff and who could potentially play their way in this weekend. That's coming up next on the script.
For Buckeyes and businesses, Branded Bills has you covered. Whether you're showing your scarlet and gray pride or you're building a brand of your own, nothing tops a custom hat.
Branded Bills is a proud sponsor of Ohio State athletics with licensed Buckeye headgear that looks just as good in the horseshoe as it does when you're walking around Columbus. And beyond game day, they specialize in custom headwear that helps businesses, teams, and communities stand out with premium fit, finish, and style.
So whether you are a diehard Buckeye, an entrepreneur, or just someone who want to rep their story, check out Branded Bills. Explore their official licensed Ohio State collection or design your own custom hat built just for you. Branded Bills, for Buckeyes and businesses, licensed pride, custom style.
Welcome back to The Script. Hit us up at The Script OSU. If you're not watching on YouTube, you are missing out. It's the most fun version. Click subscribe right now. Let's take our Dr. Pepper look around the world of college football. We start, we think about turkey on Thanksgiving weekend, not eggs, but let's talk about the Egg Bowl down here. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Lane Kiffin, decision day is looming. He needs to make up his mind by this weekend. Guys, what do you make of this Lane Kiffin holding this program hostage?
That is a weird situation. I mean, you're in a situation to where if you're Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, you're potentially about to go and get into the college football playoff. And you have to have a date in which you're saying is Lane Kiffin announcement day. Like, what type of announcement could be coming? I mean, do you disrupt everything that you're going through and the momentum that you have for your program and say, I'm leaving at this point in time? I don't know. It's just a weird situation, in my opinion.
It's really weird, and you better win the game if you're Lane Kiffin, because if you lose the game with this hanging over you, people are going to just crush you for the distraction this has caused.
Yeah, you lose, you're gonna walk out that door. But
you walk to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, this is a very interesting situation because now that we know a new metric that's evaluated when you're talking about the college football playoff committee and the rankings is if you lose a key player or a coach. Mm-hmm. So even if Ole Miss win the Egg Bowl this Friday, on Black Friday, and Lane Kiffin magically decide to go to Baton Rouge, that's going to affect their playoff rankings.
Yeah.
When you're talking about getting into playoffs, and I don't think they drop all the way out the playoffs, but it's going to have an impact on it. But you've seen this quarterback Trinidad Chambliss come out on social media and said pretty much they got faith in Lane Kiffin, and they keeping all these distractions away from the program, and sounds like he expects Lane to be there for the long haul. But we'll see. We have seen coaches say, hey, I ain't going nowhere. Then, the next day, hey, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, I ain't going nowhere. The next day, hey, good luck. So we'll see.
Yeah, I hope he stays just because in the NIL era, I think Ole Miss can be as good of a job as a lot of other places. I hope he stays for that program. It is weird, though, to put a deadline on it. Like, you got to let us know by this date. Like, I had a friend of mine once, and she told me, I told my boyfriend, if he doesn't propose to me by next summer, I'm out. And I said, that's a weird thing to say because you don't trust the guy you're with if you do that sort of thing.
Right? Yeah, no, 100%. And I think the date was set by the school because they no longer want the distraction. And I think they're trying to respect Lane Kiffin and having his opportunity to potentially be somewhere else. And I think it's also an opportunity for the school to match whatever he's going to get offered. So if I was a school, I was probably going to set that date a lot sooner than the Egg Bowl. You have more than enough time to do your due diligence at Florida, LSU, all these other schools. You can entertain conversations. I don't even mind you going out, but give us the opportunity to match that offer before you just continue to let this loom over our heads.
In this landscape of college football, if you're Lane Kiffin, did you go to LSU?
Not a chance.
No.
Not a chance.
I don't want the scrutiny. I don't want to have to deal with the governor. I'm at a place where I'm safe at Ole Miss. I can build slowly. I can afford to lose a couple of games a year.
The expectations is not as high.
10-2, get in the playoff and see what happens.
Yep. The expectations is not as high at Ole Miss than as LSU. And I would argue Ole Miss have just as good as resources and you're in just as good as a position.
Yeah. And we've seen Ole Miss be relevant at various times. I mean, over the last 15 years. You can win there, especially in this era, more than ever. Dr. Pepper, look around the world of college football. I have 4 teams here who are currently outside the top 12. I want to ask you if they can play their way in. Let's start with the big one. Is Michigan in with the win? I was up in Ann Arbor on 100%. Monday. The players say we're in if we win. Yes?
100%.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah, they have to be in. So Michigan's in with the win. How about number 16, Georgia Tech at home against Georgia? A win over Georgia as a final statement.
This is going to be interesting because I don't know if it's going to put them over the top to be in because they got a lot of different things in the ACC.
This is not an ACC game.
Exactly. It'll give them a shot, but I don't know if it'll push them over the top.
You know what? This is another tricky one because I think they have some opportunity with a lot of carnage in front of them because clearly they're not going to play in an ACC championship game unless a lot of other crazy things happen this weekend. But if they win, man, beating the top-ranked Georgia and with one conference loss, 11-1, they have a better argument than some 10-2s.
Yeah, I think they might get in, honestly. How about Texas at home against number 3 Texas A&M? Texas right now, and by the way, we're recording this on Tuesday. New rankings will come out Wednesday morning. But as of now, Texas is 17th.
Yeah, I don't see it for Texas. I don't see a situation. There's so many 2-loss teams. I don't see a situation to where the committee says we're going to allow a 3-loss team to get in this thing. There's so many other situations. You look at Vanderbilt. They're on the outside looking in. I'd put Vanderbilt in over
Easy.
Texas.
Hey, Beanie, you're not the producer. Let's not spoil the next segment.
All right.
So you think Cardale thinks Texas has been dead for 2 months?
Yeah. My expectations with them, midway through the season was 500.
Yeah.
So they exceeded that. But no, I don't think they get in because even if you beat Texas Tech team, Texas A&M team, I personally don't think A&M is that great. I think the way that you look versus Georgia and other few losses that you have will pretty much outweigh a potential close win versus A&M.
Okay, how about Beanie? How about Vandy? All right, so Vandy's finishing up at Tennessee. So this is a rivalry game. It's a top 20 matchup. Can Vandy play their way in here?
I think they can. I think they'll be a team on the outside looking at it. And I didn't even know that was the question I started going before.
Your intuition is unreal.
But I think they can. I think the committee will value Vanderbilt's schedule. And if they go out and win another ranked game versus a Tennessee team that's been up and down, but still one of the quality SEC teams, they can.
Vandy and Tennessee is freaking rivals.
No, they're both in the state of Tennessee.
Oh, wait, I'm about to say, like,
they're never knew that one.
I was about to say,
okay.
We knew that. I said something I just learned because, we talked about Vandy and Tennessee.
Let me ask you,
Diego Pavia.
Not one Tennessee Vol fan would consider Vandy.
Okay. I was just I'm like, where have I been?
They're rivals like any team within a state is a rival.
Okay.
No, trust
good.
me, ain't no Tennessee Vol fans losing sleep over Vanderbilt over the last 100 years.
I don't think they're going to get in at they got 3 losses right now. 2 losses.
2 losses.
I don't think they get in if they win. I don't think so. Yeah.
You think they keep out Diego? The brand and the story? Man, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. All right, let's do final thoughts here on the game. We're going to give me a key, something you're looking for. Ohio State against Michigan this Saturday.
You know what? I obviously think the Buckeyes are going to win. I think we're going to air it out. I think Jeremiah Smith has over 150 yards in this game and 2 touchdowns. He's going to be the catalyst to push us over the top and make this game stretch out.
I got the Buckeyes winning this one. I think the game is a little tighter than the experts think it may be, but I think at the end of the game, our defense come up away, we'll get a big time play. I'm thinking even a score.
Yeah, I'm with you in that I think Michigan might cover if it's 11.5-ish. I think Michigan might cover. I think it might be closer than Buckeye fans want, but I don't know, man. I don't think Ryan's going up there and losing. Jeremiah has basically staked his reputation on it. He said, I'm not losing to him. I find it hard to believe. I don't think they're losing. I think the clock resets this Saturday. Yeah,
hopefully.
We're feeling good. All right, well, we're going to break it down. So next week, we're either going to celebrate a Buckeye victory or we're going to have the biggest numbers in the history of our podcast. One way or the other next week on The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes.